Oh my God. Unilateral leg work is something else, man. When you see people doing like one plate, two plates with the Bulgarian split squats, it kind of looks like, oh yeah, I know how one and two plates feel like. No biggie, it's just one leg, it's fine. I can squat like four plates, it's all good. On 2 feet, it's something else, man. You would think that if your normal back squat is 200 kilos, logic would serve that you could probably do around 100 kilos on one leg. Oh my Lord, was I mistaken? Maybe it's a case that, I haven't done this movement pretty much ever. I've never dedicated any sort of decent time to it. Never done a block of Bulgarian split squats. I never really cared to do one leg at a time. I thought, man, I just want a back squat, man. It makes sense just to do back squats, right? Like specificity. Wow, man, unreal. You'll see it today. So today I decided to add some weight to the Bulgarian split squats. Right now the setup is, as you guys, the guys that have been following, you would know, one day I do hamstrings, the next day I do Bulgarian split squats or unilateral leg work to kind of facilitate that internal hip rotation, which I kind of lost from not doing anything other than just, work in the sagittal plane. So instead of just going high rep every single time, I decided to, every other day I will challenge with some weight. And so today was that day. I decided to kind of load the Bulgarian split squats. You'll see it. I went up to one plate, so 60 kilos. Oh my Lord. I think my brain just went into panic mode. Man, muscles which I've never even known existed were kind of like vibrating underneath me. I know the glute medius is a powerhouse when it comes to unilateral leg work. It's an internal hip rotator, I believe, along with the TFL, when the glute minimus as well. The three of them kind of like are the kings of the internal hip rotation. So I was feeling all sorts of stress. Like basically the knees want to buckle in, and so you're kind of fighting to keep the knee out, but at the same time, your core wants to buckle over. So it's a lot of things going on. You would think that, I've got the horsepower to kind of push up one plate, but I was struggling to do sets of 5. So I did 5x5 with 60 kilos Bulgarian split squats, and man, I'm drenched right now. I don't know whether that's because the central nervous system is just freaking out. It's probably a lot of that, but also I think there's a lot of weaknesses around my pelvis, around my legs, when it comes to unilateral leg work. The fact that I don't run, I don't play sports, I don't do anything other than just squat and deadlift, and sometimes I do bench press, which is once in a blue moon in the last sort of 6 months. So I don't really do anything on one leg. And so to load up one plate and challenge the body to kind of deal with that while going to a knee bend is something else. Definitely, I'm thinking to myself, this can't be acceptable, man. I can't be struggling with a quarter of the weight that I can usually do on 2 legs. I can't be struggling with a quarter of that weight on one leg. It's a glaring weakness. It must be brought up. So I'm not going to have any of that. I think I'm actually quite happy now that I've kind of discovered this weakness. It's very, very related to the back squat when you think about it. I probably, like everyone else, I probably have weaknesses from left to right. I've always felt kind of like the left leg is stronger than the right because I am kind of left-footed. I'm kind of weird like that. I'm right-hand dominant, but I'm left leg dominant. So when I played soccer as a kid, I remember this day like it was yesterday. We were playing in the streets. This was like in Yugoslavia. We used to kind of play in front of the house all the time. Put 4 bricks on the road, local road, and all the kids come out and we just play. The bricks are the goals, and we just go for it. And I remember one day we were kind of playing, and we were, I was kicking the ball. I was like 7, 8 years old or something like this. And I remember the day I kind of like went left with the ball and I hit it, and it was like sweet as, man. It was like so much more accurate, so much more power. I remember the moment I was like, wait a minute. I think my left foot is better than my right. And so since then, I've basically been dominant with my left leg. And then when I started playing basketball, being a right-handed shooter, when you go up for a layup, you take off with your left leg. And so that kind of further facilitated me kind of strengthening my left leg, and that's kind of how it left. So I think my left leg is stronger, although when I do single leg lying ham kills, my right leg does better. So this is 180 kilos. Yesterday I did 180 at the gym as well, so 180 today. Maybe I shouldn't have done this, I don't know. It moved all right, but I don't know, I'm doing a whole lot of work now, and so it's not just like the old school days where I could do 180 times 1 every single day. There's a whole lot of stuff going on in the background. I'm not just relying on the Bulgarian method. I'm doing a whole lot of work, accessory work. So anyway, it moved all right, I guess. So anyway, I'm sure there's left and right weaknesses. Everyone has it. I mean, if you think about you drive your car, we predominantly use, I mean, if you drive an automatic, your left leg is basically not even used. Your brain doesn't even know it exists when you drive a car. So everything's right leg, right leg. I drive a manual car, so I've got a clutch. But even that, the right leg is kind of the busier one. You know, it's accelerating. It's always doing something. Whereas the clutch, you hit it and you kind of rest it then. So I think a lot of people, I think I read a study, most people in the world have like a right leg that's more externally rotated than the left. That's because of driving. So there's always going to be like, these biases from left to right. We brush our teeth with the right hand, that kind of thing. Like, so, if you're dominant with one hand, that means you're going to be dominant in one hand. Like, so I think there's benefit there to kind of, work out the weaknesses. That doesn't mean that you need to be kind of equal, but you can't have glaring weaknesses. That's what it feels like right now. What you're seeing here is what I kind of did today. Bulgarian split squats. I started off with the bar, kind of feeling my way out around. I was thinking about what sort of placements I was going to have with my feet, my stance. I went with this because I think if I go too far kind of wide, if the stance is too kind of front and back, too far forward, then I feel like it's mostly kind of glute, which is not bad as well. But I'm trying to kind of hit the glutes and the quads and the glute medius and minimus, I guess, the internal hip rotators. So that's basically how I went. You'll see when I put 60 kilos on, the 40 kilos was kind of all right. I did a set of 10, I think, here, both legs. And then with 60 kilos, man, like, it's funny because when you unrack that 60 kilos, I mean, for me, I'm just, because I can squat 4 plates, when you unrack one plate, it's like, oh, this is a piece of cake. But then you walk that baby out and you stick one leg on the bench and you're like, holy shit, like which muscles am I using again? Like, it's a strange sensation to think, okay, I know what to do here, but I don't feel all that confident. I don't feel all that secure doing this. My knees were kind of cracking and popping weirdly as well. I think there's all sorts of weird forces happening through the knee. I think my hip flexors are kind of tight. And my hamstrings are kind of tight, especially from yesterday. So there's all sorts of pulling and pushing happening in the knee. So I think you need to be careful when you do this exercise because things can go pop. And also I think a few months ago at least, I was listening to somebody, I can't remember who it was it Stuart McGill? It was one of these people kind of well respected in the industry, and he was saying that you need to be very careful loading unilateral leg work like Bulgarian split squats because of the sacroiliac joint is very sensitive to kind of these forces when you have loading on one side. So if you too quickly increase the weight, you can upset the sacroiliac joint. And if you have ever heard people kind of complaining of lower back pain and sacroiliac joint problems, that shit, you don't want to mess that up, man. Because once that thing kind of shifts and moves and gets out of position, then you're pretty much screwed, man. You're always going to have that issue kind of, with you. So be mindful of that. I know to me it looks funny, one plate, and I'm here like preparing like it's a freaking 1 rep max. And you can see here, I kicked the bench back, so I had to kind of readjust and put the bench back again. But yeah, it was just very, very low on confidence doing this exercise. It's just weird because the weight's light on my back, like I've already mentioned. But the moment I do this, I'm like, oh my God. I don't know. It's just a very, very strange sensation. Lots of different, there we go, stumble. So definitely, I kept stumbling when I was doing my right leg. Kept stumbling. I kept kind of losing my balance, which tells me that my right glute is also weak. The whole right hip is probably weak, hamstring, whatever. I feel that, that's what I feel. What else could you kind of blame on? Definitely feeling weak on right leg. Whatever the structures are involved, definitely it's not up to scratch. So that's what I'm hoping to do. So the next time, tomorrow I'm going to do hamstrings again. The following day I'll go back to this, but I'll just do body weight stuff. So like sets of 20, last time I did 10 sets of 20 Bulgarian split squats. So I'll just alternate between heavy and light days. And we'll see how I go. I have to bring this up. I'm not sure if you guys do this as well, but at least for one workout, just test yourself out, see what you got. if you're not around, I mean, I don't even know what the figures are, but my intuition says if you're not around 50% of your 1 rep max with the back squat, then it's a weakness. And I mean, that in my eyes, that's what it seems like. You should be able to push half of your back squat in a Bulgarian split squat. I mean, that's what I'm gonna look this up tonight when I get a chance. But I feel like that's what you should be kind of doing. That will kind of indicate to me that you have sufficient internal hip rotation strength, and that because if you're doing back squats, you're predominantly working on your external hip rotators. When you're doing Bulgarian split squats, you're predominantly basically training your internal hip rotators like glute med, minimus, and TFL and all that stuff. So if you can do 50% of your 1 rep max, back squat 1 rep max in a Bulgarian split squat, that would tell me that you're quite well balanced. For me, you can see that I'm barely doing these sets of 5. I mean, I could probably put on another 20 kilos on the bar there and do like 80 kilos for 1 rep, but I'll be doing a YOLO. I mean, the risk of injury there will be very immense. Like, it feels like I could push it up, but I don't think the knee and whatnot could tolerate that. I would be very, very foolish to do that. Yeah, there you go. It was actually really embarrassing kind of to go through this motion. I mean, when you get humbled like this by weight that you feel like you can kind of throw around, usually it's an interesting thing. And then after this, I did some bench press again. The whole bench press workout took like 5 minutes. Basically, I did the bar. I did 60 kilos, 80 kilos, 100 kilos. I did 100 kilos for 1, 110 for 1, and then I stripped the bar back to 40 kilos, and I did that for 40 reps. And that was basically the workout. I know the Bilbo method is not this. I mentioned the Bilbo method yesterday. I don't want to mislead people. The Bilbo method is not like that. I think the Bilbo did like 1 session a week, if I'm not mistaken. What I'm doing is basically every single day. So I I'm inspired by the Bilbo method, but it's not the Bilbo method. I don't want to mislead people. So what I do is I run up to a training max, single, and I strip the bar back, and I kind of do what Bilbo methodology does, which is you take a lighter weight and you take that thing up for as many reps as possible, even the barbell. So like with the barbell, I did 70 reps, which is funny, right? 70 reps on the bench press. Like, what is that? But it's kind of like push-ups. You do a lot of reps with push-ups. And from me, in my history, the last time I hit 140 kilos on the bench press, all I basically did for that is a lot of push-ups. I did grease in the groove. I did something like 6, 7, 8, sometimes even 10 sets of push-ups throughout the day, up to like 70% of my max reps. That's what I did, and I had really, really good results. So for me, once again, telling you guys again, for me, high reps seem to work. I don't care what anyone else says, but my training history basically tells me that every time I do this, I get better. So it would be foolish not to do that again. The reason I opted out for bench press and not push-ups is because, frankly, I think, number one, I think bench press is a lot less tiring because push-ups is a whole plank. And also, I think there's more specificity. So I want to change something from last time. I don't want to repeat the same process. I want to kind of incorporate the same stuff that I did last time with the grease in the groove. But I just want to basically do a similar type thing where I do a lot of reps with high specificity, and I want to see how that goes. So another little kind of experiment. You guys know me. Every time for me to get kind of excited about training and for me to kind of think about training all the time, I need to have an intellectual stimulation. I need to feel like I'm testing something. If you tell me go do starting strength 5x5, I'm yawning, I'm bored, I can't be bothered doing this. I'm not into it, man. I can't do something that doesn't intellectually stimulate me. With this, that's basically the motivation. I'm motivated by the Bilbo method, and I'm like, all right, let's test something out here. Let's work something out. And so then my mind's having fun, and I'm getting a good workout, and I'm kind of paying attention. I'm jotting everything down into the training log, and I'm thinking about it actively. That's me in a nutshell, and I've been like that with the squat as well all this time. All right, guys, a little bit longer video today. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.